Yo, Alex here, and this is The Archives, also known as how I'm getting my clients to six-figure months. And in the past 60 days alone, I've generated over 100K in USD in client revenue. And the reason for that is because I've focused on the one thing that many entrepreneurs and founders fail to embody from the very start, which is identity. And this system is to align you to that identity of the version of you that makes the impact that you want to make, makes the amount of money you want to make, and also builds a business that they're genuinely proud of because it focuses on the one problem that every entrepreneur has and will continue to encounter throughout their entire journey is misalignment. Because the main part of what you need to be doing is focusing on the right things based on the data that you've collected during your business. And you can only get that through proper reflection on the data that you have. And when it comes to identity, the main data points that we have to collect when it comes to who we are and when it comes to the person that we need to be every day in order to make the amount of money and the impact and a business that we're proud of is to focus on persuading ourselves that we are this person. This system is called archived accountability. And the way that I do this for every one of my clients is we outline their known personality, which comes down to two versions of you. The one that you are currently, which is you yesterday, which is something we are leaving behind, the negative traits of that person who we are currently embodying, but we need to leave behind in order to align to the person who makes the amount of money we make. And likewise, we need to reverse that and find out who that person is, what positive traits they have, what they do every day, how they approach certain scenarios, and what credibility they have in the scenario that you know that you can be this person, and at every point during these traits that we're outlining, we are understanding the discrepancies. What is the difference between our person yesterday and our person we are now embodying today? This is a system that allows you to take these traits and put it into these 2-minute reflections that I do with every single one of my clients, and we feed back upon within our constructive and positive feedback. The green is how we enforce that person's personality today, and the red is constructive to take away aspects of their known personality of them yesterday. It gives them a second lens on the person they are being every single day. And the data points that we collect with identity in mind come under these 3 questions, which I'll get into in a sec. But it's an iterative process that takes time, but eventually starts to be very apparent and clear that we are the person that we say we are within these videos, within the outline that we put down here for our known personality. It starts to really become a reality of the person you are every single day. And the reason for that is because we hit 3 key markers whilst we're filming these archive videos. We understand how we are feeling, what we've learned, and also what our next actionable steps are. The reason why this works in the first place is because it hits 3 key markers of persuasion, which Aristotle wrote in The Art of Rhetoric in 4th century BCE. It dates back that long. But these 3 things are hit in order, specifically 1, 2, and 3, to be able to make that iterative process persuading you that you are that person. And it's not just about speaking it into existence or writing down stuff as affirmations. It's physically taking the action, it's physically acknowledging your learnings, and it's also putting into consideration how you were feeling before you even did any of that. And the main reason why this works over any affirmation or journal entry is because it hits these 3 markers in order to be able to persuade us that we are that person. Ethos, pathos, and logos, also known as credibility, emotional connection, and logical reasonings. This system is the unlock to be able to understand and embody the identity you need, especially when placed under an iterative system that hits all 3 in order, like archived accountability. And you can see these being hit at every point in the system, and we feed back upon those through our constructive and positive feedback. With the second lens that we get, we understand how to align ourselves with the person we are today versus then constructive and negative feedback that we get from who we were yesterday. You can easily slip back into the person you were yesterday, and you can easily fall short of the person you are trying to be every single day if you do not have a second lens. But that's why archived accountability is double effective, because someone else can feedback on the person who they know you need to be every day, and it also understands certain aspects of that person, such as, for example, our pathos. The one on the right side of the triangle is emotional connection to the person. Once we understand the known personality, we can also understand their emotional frequency, how they operate, and what emotion they are currently operating at to bring about that action. For example, when I decided that I wanted to fly my parents out for Christmas, it wasn't to do with the fact that I was fearing the fact that I would never be able to see them again. It was to do with the fact that I was in such love and joy that I wanted to bring the world that I had created out here in Bali for my parents. So I understood that Alex today was the person who operated out of joy and love. And that point in the Aristotle's persuasion triangle, I needed to hit quite a lot. And so with my own archives, I've focused purely on getting to the point of love and joy and reason. And the way to emotionally align yourself with your known personality gets done through meditation, which I do myself, and I've also recorded a video which you can take a look at and understand the concept of meditation in full, because these archives aren't just videos that you look back on, they're videos that you channel their detail into the next moment and the next action you need to take. But once you understand the emotions of the person who you are becoming every single day, there is no reason why you cannot get up to that level. And every day you are at that frequency and at that level, despite working through it physically and taking action, you're also, in an emotional sense, being that person. And the person who makes the impact you want to make, you need to understand all of these different emotions based on each of the traits that you outlined in your known personality down here that align emotionally with who you are. This takes time. It takes a gradual process, as is the main system, but the main points of emotion are going to be your biggest needle movers in terms of allowing yourself to be persuaded that you are this person, because your emotions dictate your actions. There's a part of your brain that is dictated solely on emotions, and this is a system to be able to get you full awareness of the emotions of the person you're becoming. Likewise, with that, we need to understand the credibility behind who we are every single day. The evidence to suggest that you are that guy, essentially. When you look at someone on stage who's got a lot of accolades in business and speaking about their achievements as well as who they've helped and so on and so forth, that is an example of their credibility, and that's the effect that puts people standing up in their seats and respecting that person. But you need to have that for yourself. Within your own identity, you need to understand your reason why you are credible. You need to understand the main points of evidence that make you who you say you are. And evidence can come under many forms, but the reason why archived accountability works is because it focuses not just on the achievements, but the learnings of the person who we are embodying every day. And the reason why we speak about learnings over anything when it comes to credibility is because it gives us a bank of lessons to be able to look back on. At every point in the journey, we take different lessons and we label them based on what we did during the day. For example, there's a big part of the archives here, which if we're looking to clarify, organize, systemize, and scale, we can look back on this and understand that what we learn about this particular topic gives us the credibility of the person who we're becoming. For Mox specifically, we're working on his CEO code. The person who he is a CEO. He's very organized, he's very systemized, he's got immense clarity, and he's set to scale at every single point. So this is a lesson, and credibility-wise, very strong evidence to suggest that he is Mox today. And through this, we are able to take immediate aligned action based on the lessons we've learned. And this is where we start getting into our logical points, which is our logos. At this point in the journey, we have now hit our credibility, we've now hit our emotional connection. Now we need to connect all the dots with the logical reasonings to why we are who we say we are based on the action we are taking. And I can tell you that for a fact that this one point has generated many thousands for my clients, because this is where we take aligned action. We take it forwards, we carry on the momentum of the identity we embody every single day. And this comes in the form of every single action that we now align within this positive feedback. Once you've recorded multiple videos over an extended period of time and iterated through all of these points in order, you're able to understand the emotion, the credibility, and the logic of the person who you are now becoming. And that gives us an opportunity to reflect and align every single day with who we are. And this goes through all the details that we've now outlined in those 3 questions, puts it through that second lens to understand the feedback and the 1% tweaks that we need to make. Once we've got that information, we then sit down and we meditate, which comes under the realm of relaxing, channeling, and continuing. You sit down, you take into perspective all of your environment, and you put excruciating detail and importance to your environment. That gives us an opportunity to be in that space where detail is of importance to us in this moment. We can then take all of the details that we've got in prior and go back to that. We are now recollecting a past win, a past memory, a past archive. And once you have that moment in mind and you've got excruciating detail on your environment, you're able to channel that into the past win and get excruciating detail on the past win, what you were experiencing during that time, the emotional connection you had to yourself, the logical steps you were taking, and the learnings and credibility you gained at that exact moment. It starts to really put you into the emotional spectrum of the person you want to be, and there is a lot of merit in understanding their actions and their credibility, because it enforces in your mind that that is the person who we need to become, and it's the right decision to make. This is essentially a form of mental brainwashing, but it works because it gets us, after this iterative process has gone for an extended period of time, we are now seeing things like 23.8k months in the month of September. We are now seeing sub 20 minute 5Ks. There is a lot of merit in understanding this, and for people who do meditate, you understand that it puts you at a level of self-awareness that makes this detail so key, because we're not acknowledging anything else but the person who we are. And that action that we can take after that is so huge, because the next step after we've got the detail of our past win is continuing that to get the detail of the outcome. And now that we've got an emotional connection, we're level, we've got credibility wise, we understand what we've learned, and we've also taken into consideration the detail of our next actionable steps. That allows us to act in alignment on the right things, which is so key in business. And if you can sit there and meditate, go through this process in what might take you about 5 to 10 minutes, you can start to actually save yourself money, you can make money, you can hire the right people, you can make the right decisions. And that is so key as an entrepreneur, because you understand your target in full, the detail behind it, exactly what you're aiming for. That doesn't come easy. The main reason people don't act in alignment is because they don't have full clarity on what they're working on, what their target is. So that working on the right things honestly becomes impossible. And essentially, through this system, you've convinced yourself that you are this person. You've sat down and taken the detail of your environment to the detail of your past wins as that person. And now you're taking into consideration the detail of your target, what you're actually aiming for. Once you've reflected on the archives, you've taken in every second lens that you possibly could, you've tweaked the 1% improvements, you are now acting on the right things. And that brings out the outcomes of the person who makes the amount of money you want to make, who has the business that you've built and you're proud of, and who spends time every single day at that emotional frequency of the person who they said they are. There is zero misalignment, there's full clarity, and there's a business that makes a lot of money, all thanks to archived accountability. So if you're looking forward to implementing this system and really put into perspective the identity you need to scale, then there's a call link down below if you want to book in, and I can walk you through exactly how this will work for you, because I can give you all this information, but for you to be able to write down and define your own personality, start filming, reflecting upon them, there's also this second lens that you need. And I have full confidence in the fact that that is the most valuable part of this entire system. So please, I encourage you to book a call and we'll run through that. But in general, if you've enjoyed this video, please let me know in Instagram as well. I'll put that in the description for you to go through and understand what I do. And if it's your first time watching me, thank you for watching, and I look forward to seeing you on future videos. But that's been Alex, and this has been Archived Accountability. Archives out.